It's a common misconception that a big fancy camera will make you a better photographer. Sure, our cameras have an impressive array of automatic functions and the AI in them is incredible, but they cannot make the creative choices that you can make. And as you begin to understand light, as you begin to understand how to set your camera the way you want to, you will become a more creative photographer. Sure, if you're shooting on an auto mode, much of the time you'll get an acceptably exposed photo. But acceptably exposed is not always a particularly creatively exposed photograph. Given that light is the substance of photos, with no light you have no photo, to be truly creative with your photography, you will need to be in control of your camera's exposure settings and know how to adjust them to create the image you want. Your camera sees and records photos differently than how we see. Our eyes and brain have far more dynamic ability and processing power than our cameras. Understanding some of these differences will help us improve our photography. The exposure meter in your camera measures the reflected light in a scene and provides information that translates into the automatic settings or a visual display if you're using manual mode. Learning to select which part of the composition the camera takes an exposure reading from and adjust the shutter speed and aperture settings will help you develop a creative style that you will not achieve shooting on an auto mode. Sure, it takes longer to set your camera manually, but what's the rush? If you slow down a little to set your camera, you can also take a little more time to think about the lighting, choose your angle, and compose your shot. I'll often pre-compose a shot, set my exposure, and just wait for the right moment. It does take practice, and it's worth putting in the effort, because over time you'll get faster at making these settings and you'll notice an improvement in your photography. When you're first starting out using manual mode, choose easy subjects. Don't go to the sports games or the local market where your subjects are constantly moving. Ask a friend to let you photograph them, or photograph your favourite tree. This way you can take your time and really begin to experiment with your manual settings. Learning to use manual mode will take time and practice, but as you become familiar with the way the light meter works and how to set the shutter speed and aperture controls on your camera, you will begin to develop your own creative photographic style.